Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Aisyah binti Muhammad Sharif. My matric number 1201609. Inshallah, today I would like to present about my case review entitled Suzarina binti Bahalludin versus Muhammad Jaffri bin Hashim. This case is about claim of mut'ah and was conducted in Syariah Subordinate Court of Negeri Sembilan. Okay, firstly, fact of the case. Suzarina as the plaintiff and Muhammad Jaffri as the defendant were married on 19 February 1993, and throughout their marriage, they had 5 children. However, on 25 May 2015, the defendant divorced the plaintiff with talaq 1 by mutual consent. And then on 13 October 2015, the plaintiff filed an application for mut'ah against the defendant. And then on 18 April 2016, the summons and statement of claim was served to the defendant by substituted service at his workplace that located in Milan, Negeri Sembilan. In the statement of the claim, the plaintiff claimed the amount of mut'ah in the sum of 65,550 ringgit. Actually, before the plaintiff brought this case to the court, a majlis solo was held, but the majlis was failed due to the defendant's failure to attend to the session. And then on 13 June 2016, the defendant filed a statement of defense to the plaintiff, and this case was ended on 13 December 2018, which take almost 3 years to settle the dispute between the parties. Next, parties involved in this case. There are 2 parties involved in this case. First, the plaintiff, second, the defendant. The plaintiff was represented by a Sharif lawyer from Legal Aid Department of Negeri Sembilan, Mrs. Nurfaizah Kamari, while the defendant was represented by Mrs. Halijah Binti Sharif from Tuan Halijah Sharif and Associates. Next, regarding issues involved in this case, there are several interrelated issues that are arising in this case. For the first issue, whether this court has jurisdiction to hear, discuss, and also decide the plaintiff's claim regarding mut'ah. And then, second issue, if the court has jurisdiction, whether the plaintiff is qualified and has the right to obtain the mut'ah from the defendant. And the last issue is, if the plaintiff is qualified, how much the amount that the plaintiff is entitled to obtain from the defendant. Next, argument of the parties. On behalf of the plaintiff has argued that she is eligible to get mut'ah from the defendant, even though it has been almost 5 months after the divorce. This is because the plaintiff claims that she was divorced by her husband without any clear reason, and also the divorce was not caused by her. And apart from that, she also requested that the defendant should pay a sum of 65,550 ringgit of the mut'ah, because she stated that the defendant is someone who has a clear and also stable income. Meanwhile, on behalf of the defendant, he contended that the plaintiff does not deserve to get mut'ah from him. This is because the defendant claims that the plaintiff committed nusyuz against him because of her relationship with Huzani, the person who helped the plaintiff to do business at SMK Suraban Jaya. Next, judgment in this case. For the first issue, whether this court has jurisdiction to hear, discuss, and also decide this case. So the court held that this court has jurisdiction to hear, discuss, and also decide the plaintiff claims regarding mut'ah. This is because the court referred to section 652 clause 2 clause B of the Islamic Religious Administration of Negeri Sembilan, Enactment 2003, that provide the authority or jurisdiction of the Sharia court, which has the authority to hear and discuss the civil cases with claims not exceeding 100,000 ringgit. So in this case, the total of mut'ah that the plaintiff claims is only 65,550 ringgit. That does not exceed the limit of the claim. And the court also referred to section 58 of Islamic Family Law of Negeri Sembilan, Enactment 2003, which states that a divorced woman can claim mut'ah from her ex-husband, and if the court is satisfied, the court can order the husband to pay it. So, based on these authorities, the court held that this court has jurisdiction to hear, discuss, and also decide the plaintiff's claim regarding mut'ah. And then, for the second issue, whether the plaintiff is qualified and has the right to obtain mut'ah from the defendant, the court evaluated the plaintiff's claim based on 4 criteria. First, whether the marriage between the plaintiff and the defendant is valid. Second, whether there has been intercourse during the marriage. Third, whether the divorce was caused by the plaintiff. And lastly, during the iddah period, whether the plaintiff or the defendant refer to each other. So, based on first criteria, the court is satisfied that there is a valid marriage between the plaintiff and the defendant. And then for the second criteria, the court also found that there had been intercourse between them due to they had given 5 children. And then for the third criteria, the divorce was not caused by the plaintiff because there was no initial conviction made by the defendant in the court. In this part, the court referred to case Binti Haji Abdul Jalil versus Muhammad Idris bin Shamsuddin. In this case, the court decided the husband must pay the mut'ah to the plaintiff, even though there had there is a sign of nushuz. It will not deny the wife right to get mut'ah from him. So, because there was no nushuz conviction, the court satisfied that the divorce was not caused by the plaintiff. And the last criteria, the court also satisfied that the plaintiff and the defendant did not refer to each other during the interim period. So based on these criteria, the court determined that the plaintiff is entitled to get mut'ah from the defendant. And for the final issue regarding the amount of mut'ah that the plaintiff is entitled to get from the defendant previously, in the statement of the claim, the plaintiff claimed the amount of mut'ah in the sum of 65,550 ringgit. However, during the trial proceeding and also in the written submission, the claim was only 65,000 ringgit. So there is a contradiction, and after the court heard the statement by both parties, the court decided to accept the contradiction because in the opinion of the court, the contradiction here is not radical departure but only variation. And since there was no offer made by the defendant regarding the amount of mut'ah, the court considers the amount of mut'ah that must be paid based on several factors. First, the ability of the defendant. Second, the plaintiff position, status and nature. Third, the plaintiff contribution and sacrifices. And lastly, the duration of marriage. Then the court ordered the defendant to pay to the plaintiff in the sum of 13,000 ringgit in installment of 250 ringgit per month. And the payment must be made through plaintiff account bank start on January 2019. Why the plaintiff did not get as her claim? This is because regarding the defendant's ability, the plaintiff stated that the defendant worked as a technician and have income of around 300 ringgit per month, and now the defendant has become a senior engineer. However, the plaintiff does not know about the latest income of the defendant. So, the court decided that the plaintiff failed to prove the statement made by her because based on section 73 clause 1 and 2 of the Syariah Court Evidence of Negeri Sembilan Enactment 2003, any individual who brings a fact, then the burden of proof rests on him or her, and it is necessary to bring evidence to strengthen the fact. So, because the plaintiff failed to prove the statement made by her, the court ordered the defendant to pay only 13,000 ringgit. And lastly, my comment in this case, to be honest, I do agree with the final decision made by the judge because we can see that the judge had worked hard to resolve the dispute between the parties. We considers many things before making a decision. However, in my opinion, if both parties are agreed to solve this case nicely, this case can resolve amicably through majlis law. The parties no need to go through long proceedings and may also save more time. This is because if we can see or we can notice in this case took almost 3 years to settle the dispute between the parties. It's such a long proceeding or long time. In that time actually the parties can focus on their daily life and also not need to think about these matters every year. And lastly, it should be explained also that the suluh process carried out will not deny the rights of any parties, but actually this process make it easier for the disputing parties to reach a mutual agreement. And we must know that the suluh proceeding does not deny any right of parties. The parties are freely to express their opinion or their suggestion to settle the dispute between them. That's all from me. Thank you.